Hey guys, in this video we're going to get into musculature. So I know this can seem pretty intimidating, but I'm going to do my very best to simplify it. When it comes to muscles, there are so many layers. There are deep tissue muscles and superficial muscles. Deep muscles are exactly like how it sounds, it sits way below the surface, and the superficial muscles are the ones that read up top. Think of the deep muscles as the mass and the superficial muscles as the topography. So we're going to split this up into different body parts. Let's start with the neck and the torso. So here I have this abstract looking shape that's actually a neck and a body. Okay, so on the neck, this is the neck, we're going to have this giant muscle that goes all the way down, and that's called the brachiocephalicus and the splenius. And then we have this thinner muscle up in the front, and that's the sternomastoid and the sternohyoid. Then this muscle here, it's going to be a giant muscle from the neck down to the back, and that's the trapezius. And up here we have our chest, which is the pectorals. This muscle on the back is called the longissimus dorsi, and it goes all the way down the back. So in this section we're going to see our obliques and our lats, the latissimus dorsi. So the latissimus is what you feel when you lift your arm up or pull something down. It's right at your side. It's a very big muscle. And down here we're going to see the abdominals. So in between the lats and the external obliques, right here on the side, we're going to have this serratus. So let's go through these sections one more time. So up here we have the trapezius. And this muscle that goes all the way down the back is called the longissimus dorsi. And then we have our latissimus dorsi on the side. These small layered muscles are called the serratus. Then we have the external obliques. And then we have this thing called fascia, which is just tissue that's covering this area. And then we have the abdominals down here. Now let's move it to the neck. We have two muscles, the splenius and the brachiocephalicus. Very long muscle that actually goes all the way down to an animal's arm. And then we have the sternohyoid and sternomandibularis. And those are the torso muscles that we'll be focusing on. Now let's move into the front legs. So our first division is going to be our shoulders, or the deltoids. And then over here, this giant muscle is going to be the triceps. And it's called triceps because it has 3 heads. And then up front we have the brachialis. And I'm actually going to simplify all of the muscles in the forearm here. This is just going to be the extensors in the front and flexors in the back. So let's go over that one more time. Up front we have the deltoids, which are our shoulders, and then the triceps with the 3 heads, brachialis, and then we have our elbow right here in the corner, and then the forearms are going to be split into extensors and flexors. So let's try applying that to a different type of animal. So here we have a feline arm, and so here we have the deltoids, triceps, brachialis, extensors, flexors, and then it separates out into tendons. And there's 2 more muscles that are more apparent here that I wanted to include. These are actually muscles that connect the arm to the back, and it's called the infraspinatus and teres major. But now we're going to apply it to an arm that I just made up. So I'm going to say the shoulders are going to be right up here, and then let's include this little section for the infraspinatus and teres major. And I'm going to have a large chunk of this arm devoted to the triceps. I'm going to show a little sliver of the brachialis up front, and then divide the forearms into extensors and flexors. So I wanted to go through this multiple times just to show you guys how this musculature can repeat. And once you get a little bit familiar with it, you can easily separate it out into groups. Next up we have our hind legs. So I'm going to go back to a hind leg of a hooved animal, and we're really going to simplify the musculature here. I'm going to separate out the hamstrings from the quads, and then the calf muscles down here. So let's start from the top. We have our gluteus medius, and then our bicep femoris, and then we have our sartorius, which is a thin muscle that runs across your leg. Then we have the tensor fasciae latae, which is in the quads. And then moving down, we have the Achilles tendon, and then flexors and extensors. And to make it even simpler, the muscles in the back we'll just call hamstrings, and the muscles in the front we'll call quadriceps. So applying it to a feline leg, one more time, we have our gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, and then the caudal femoris, bicep femoris, the flexors, extensors, the kneecap, the vastus lateralis, which is also part of the quadriceps, tensor fasciae latae, and finally, I just wanted to show you guys a quick sketch of how all of these muscles can come together on an animal's body. When it comes to musculature, it can be so helpful to look at comparative anatomy. Look at how these separate muscle groups repeat in different proportions, just like the skeletons in different types of animals. Notice how certain muscle groups are more prominent in one animal compared to another, because anatomy is directly linked to functionality. And when we move on later into creature design, anatomy is going to come back in a huge way to make your creatures functional and believable. So even if this does seem a little overwhelming, I really encourage you guys to study anatomy. Maybe you want to go even more in depth than what we covered in this class, or you could simplify it further and just take away what you want to utilize. Either way, I really hope this wasn't too confusing, and in the next video, we'll take a look at how anatomy comes together in a fully fleshed out creature. Bye guys!